Hi everyone, before we start glazing, I want us to understand how the glazes work. So we have 12 different colors of glazes, and this is what they will look like after they have gone into the kiln. You will see that there is a number on each of the examples. That is to tell you which bottle to take the glaze from. Because, for example, this is glaze number 1, even though it looks like this in the bottle, it turns into this after it has gone into the kiln. So when you're picking your colors, I want you to pick from this, from all of the different little circles, instead of what it looks like in the bottle. The other thing that I want you to understand is that you have to put a couple different layers of glaze down of the same color. This is what it looks like when you paint one layer of that glaze down. This is what it looks like if you add a second layer of that glaze right on top of it. That looks pretty good. This one, the first one, looks much lighter. And then lastly, if you put a third layer of the glaze on top of it, it will look the darkest. So you should put at least 2 or 3 layers of glazes down in order to get a nice dark color. So you'll brush it on, let it dry, brush it on at least once more. Welcome back, 6th grade. We are going to start glazing our clay projects today. So your clay projects have been fired once. They have gone into the kiln in order to permanently harden the clay. You will notice the clay is much lighter in color and obviously harder to the touch. So many of us have glazed before, but it's always worth hearing a couple reminders. So I'll get to that part in just a moment. What I do want to tell you that might be a little bit different for this project, you might want to have your sketch nearby. A lot of these have detail on them. And the good news is if you think it's going to help you, you can actually take a pencil and draw the different sections that you want on here if you think that that's going to help you work a little bit more neatly. The pencil, because the kiln is at a very high heat, the pencil burns off in the kiln. So even if we see it, when you're done glazing, we will not see it after it comes out of the kiln. So feel free to do that. I'm gonna go ahead and make my marks in and catch up with you in just a moment. All right, so when it is time to start glazing, I'm gonna set the pencil off to the side. I might hand out a palette paper. I might hand out the gray paint, the silver paint palettes. It just depends. I of course have a cup of water, some paint brushes, and paper towels always handy to have nearby. I have the glazes off the screen, and I'm gonna pull my sketch over again so that we can talk about a couple things. So we should hopefully know at this point, when you are glazing, you want at least 2 layers of each color in order for it to appear solid. If you only do 1 layer, it might look a little bit streaky. You want those layers to dry in between brushing them on. For areas like this right here, where I have a yellow design on top of blue, I'm going to do 2 layers of the blue, let it dry, and then glaze my yellow design right on top of it. Just because I know that's going to be the easiest and the neatest thing for me to do. I understand that the yellow might be a little bit muted on top of the blue. That's fine. You can brush on top of each other, but again, you want to let it dry and you want to make sure you do 2 layers of each color. I would start with your larger areas first and then do the details on top of those other background colors to make sure you're doing this as neatly as you can. You might have some small spaces on your animal. You want to do your best to make sure that you glaze everything. If you don't glaze something, it's going to be the color and texture of this fired clay. So that includes glazing things that are white. If you want it to be white, you should glaze it with white. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Make sure that when you are pouring your glazes, you're not being wasteful, that you're only pouring a small amount to get started with. I'll catch back up with you soon. All right, everyone, I have finished glazing my animal. A couple things that I want you to notice. Glazing or painting a three-dimensional object is tougher, so please be patient with yourself and do not try to rush this. Working as neatly as you're able to will definitely benefit you. The second thing I want you to notice, I was never pouring out very much glaze at a time because we don't want to waste it. You really only need to be pouring small amounts at a time. You can always get more, but we can't put it back into the bottle. When you are finished glazing your animal, I will be putting them back into the kiln so we can make the colors permanent. They'll be brighter and we'll get that nice glassy shine on them. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they turn out.